This is a discussion of electron configuration, which relates to where the electrons are in a particular atom. As you might remember, the historical models of the atom show different subatomic particles as time progresses. A more current model, of course, has protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom. It's the electrons, however, that participate in bonding, which is what we're going to be focusing on in another chapter. And so it's the location of those electrons that give rise to certain properties of particular elements. So today we're going to be talking about electron configuration. For this discussion, you're going to need to take a few notes. Electron configuration is really an address system for where electrons might be at a given time. Now you notice I don't say are at a given time because we can't really know where electrons are going to be. According to the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, the electrons might be in one place or they might be in another. We can't know the exact location or their movement. So that's why we say might be. Probability is suggesting. Electrons are not on levels, as Bohr said, but they can move into different regions of space, and we can only state where their most probable location is. So, for example, if I make an analogy to the upper school building, there might be a situation, let's say at 8 a.m. What's the probability of finding students in classrooms in Marshall Offutt? Hopefully you're going to say there's a high probability. It's probably going to be happening. There will be students in classrooms. But what's the probability of finding students in classrooms at midnight? Now, you might say, well, it's the same classrooms and it's the same building, but because the time changed, that means we know that students really shouldn't be in Marshall Offutt at midnight, and the probability of finding students in classrooms is pretty low, hopefully 0%. But we can never really be sure. We can just make a best guess. It's kind of like what we're saying here. We don't know exactly where the electrons are, but we have a good guess of where they might be. And the most probable location of these particular electrons that we're going to be talking about is called electron configuration. So for this discussion, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making an analogy to something else. So it's going to be important for you to draw this picture that I'm going to be talking about, which I'm going to call the hotel. Hopefully all of you understand a hotel and you've been to a hotel, or at least you've seen a hotel. I'm going to describe it, and I'm going to ask you to draw it. You can just put it right in your notes. And then from that, we're going to jump to making a relationship to the periodic table. But for now, all I'm going to ask you to do is to kind of take notes on this hotel. So if you understand the hotel, in class we're going to actually make a leap to using the periodic table instead of really talking about a hotel. Okay, so here goes. And I'm going to tell you a little story about the hotel as we go along. And for this I'm going to need my pen, so I want to make sure I have it ready. Alright, so my hotel, and I'm going to move around a little bit. You get to see some strange background probably. Here's my hotel. It's not the prettiest looking building. It's kind of like a big rectangle. This is like a side view of the hotel. In other words, if you took the side off of my hotel, you would notice that there are 1, 2, 3 floors to the hotel. They don't look very even, and I apologize for that. But think of a 4-story building. Now, you probably all have been to a hotel. Hotel is the kind of place, of course, that you would check in at the front desk, they would give you a key, and you'd go to your room. But this hotel, it's my hotel, or the Electron Hotel. So there are going to be some strange rules about the hotel, but don't worry about the strange rules. Make sure to write them down, but don't worry about why the rules, because of course, when you own the hotel, you can make the rules. So, here's my hotel. On the first floor, besides the check-in desk, and I have a pool and a lobby area and a breakfast area and all that kind of stuff down here, I do have one bedroom. So you can see I'm trying to make it look like a room, cutaway section of a room. This room is the economy room. It's like the standard room of the hotel. So I'm going to call it the S room. S for standard. Now the standard room, and in fact all my rooms in my hotel look similar. they contain 2 double beds, like a dorm room. They're the small beds, and they contain 2 of them. Because I'm kind of cheap, and I like to use one-size sheets in all my beds, so I don't have king-size beds and queen-size beds and all of that. I just have the twin-size bed. So in a standard room, you have 2 beds. I can't really make it look 3D, but those would be kind of the 2 beds in the room. So there they are. That means, according to my rules, here they are. The first rule is only 2 people can stay in this bedroom. All right, so the first rule, only 2 people in a bedroom. One person could be in a bedroom, or 2 people, but no more than 2. That's the maximum number of people in the bedroom, because each person has to have his or her own bed. No sharing. All right, so that's the only hotel room on the first floor of the hotel. You know, in some hotels there might be a whole corridor of rooms on the first floor. Not in my hotel. All right, moving on. So that's the first floor. The second floor of the hotel has an S room, the standard room. There it is. And it, of course, has 2 beds, because remember, all my hotel rooms really look the same, and they all have 2 twin beds. But now we have a more preferred room. It's a little bit more sophisticated. You may have been into a hotel room or heard about a hotel room. It's kind of like a suite. It has more bedrooms that are adjoined together. This particular second floor has one of those rooms, and I will show it to you now. I'm trying to draw the room for you, and this is called a P room. There they are. This P room has 3 bedrooms in it. So P room equals 3 bedrooms. Now remember, every single room in my hotel looks the same. Hopefully, how many beds? 2 beds per bedroom. So that means how many people can stay in the P suite? I'll draw the beds. Hopefully you said 6. So you notice 6 people can stay in the P room, and 2 people can stay in the S kind of room on the second floor. And that's the only other room type on the second floor. Alright, moving ahead to the third floor. On the third floor we have an S-type room. That's the one with the 2 beds, the standard room. We have another P room. There it is. And it's like this room right here. And then we have a deluxe room. This is like an even bigger suite. If a 3-bedroom suite isn't big enough for you, perhaps the D room will be. And the D room, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Here's the D. Has 5 bedrooms in it. Now, again, every bedroom is the same. So the D room, remember, has 5 bedrooms. I'll tell you that 1 bedroom has 2 beds. So therefore, how many people can stay in the D suite? 10 people, right? 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Sorry, the beds seem like they're getting bigger in the D suite. That's my lazy hand. And then finally, the 4th floor of my hotel has an S-type room. I won't redraw it, but it looks just like that one. It has a P room. Again, looks just like the one there. It also has a D room. Looks like the one down there. But because I'm running out of space, the finest room in the hotel is actually located on the 4th floor. And that is the F room. I'm going to make it a little bigger. The F suite has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bedrooms. So the F room, looks like Froom, but it's F room, has 7 bedrooms. And therefore, I'm not going to draw the beds in the F room, but how many people could stay in the F suite? Hopefully you said 14. Maximum, because each bedroom would have 2 beds in it. But again, it's getting a little hard to draw, and on this little tiny screen, it's too hard to draw. So you can certainly draw it on your paper if you want to, but I'm going to leave my picture like this. Alright, so let's figure out about this hotel. There's some strange things about this hotel. Now, the first thing, besides the fact that it almost looks like an inverted triangle here. Remember, the first rule is only 2 people max in 1 bedroom. And that's why you can fit more people in a P, a D, or an F suite, because there's more bedrooms, but only 2 people maximum in 1 bedroom. So, the other thing, fact I guess you could say about this, is that you have to stay in the lowest room first. Okay? So in other words, if I check in, let's say I'm checking in with myself. Let's say I'm going to a conference and there's just one of me, and I'm going to check in. They must put me in this room on the 1st floor. Even if I have money to pay for a F suite on the 4th floor. It does not matter. The rule in the hotel says you have to stay in the lowest room first. Lowest on the floor. So if floor 1 is filled, then I can stay on the 2nd floor. If the entire 2nd floor is filled, sure, I can stay on the 3rd floor. But let's say I'm checking in and there's no one in the hotel yet, I get to stay in this room right here. Okay? So that's the 2nd rule. So let me show you what it would look like if I was checking into this hotel and I was staying here. I'm going to draw myself right there. See my little stick figure? I don't have any arms, but you can see what I look like. I'm right there. Now, this hotel is way out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no cellular phone service, and the hotel is kind of cheap. Besides the twin beds, they do not have any phones in the room. You're probably wondering why I stay there, but that's another story. So the reception desk has to write down where I'm staying in the hotel, because if I get a phone call, the receptionist will actually come to my room, knock on my door, and ask, tell me I have a phone call, and then I have to go to the front desk. So what they do, instead of saying, I'm in room 101 or whatever it is, they actually write down the address system of where I'm staying so that they can know where I am. And this is what they would do for me, just one person. They would say, I'm in level 1, there I am. I'm in an S-type room, and it looks like it's to the 1st power. That means there's 1 person in an S room on the 1st level. So 1S1 is the address for my location in that hotel. Okay? So I'm going to erase that, because let's say the 2nd time I check into the hotel, and I'll uncheck myself. I have to redraw a bed. There we go. Let's say this time I'm going to take myself, my husband, and 1 child, and we're going to check into the hotel. There's 3 of us. Now, you might say, well, hey, there's 3 of you. Why don't you get a big room? Remember the rule. Stay in the lowest room first. So, in this case, the hotel is empty every time. So if there's 3 of us staying, even if it's a baby, the baby cannot stay in the room with us, because remember, only 2 people max in a bedroom, and a baby is a person. Even if they don't take up the bed, it doesn't matter. So, therefore, if there's 3 people staying, 1 person would stay here, and 1 person would stay here. Now notice, it's funny how it looks like 1 person is sleeping on one side of the room and the other person is sleeping on the other. That's actually just the way it is in my hotel. You never sleep with your head on the same side of the room. Usually when you go to a hotel room, all the beds are on one side and everybody's head is either on the left of the room or on the right of the room, and your feet are sticking out by the TV. Not in this room. In these rooms, actually, people are on opposite sides of the bedroom. Don't worry about that now. But there's 2 of us. Now the 3rd person in my group will have to stay here. They can choose which bed they'd like, but they have to stay by themselves, even if they're a baby. Or you let the other adults stay alone. Don't worry about that part. But the address system, what would we put down for the address system, I should say, for where these 3 people would be staying? This is how you would do it. On the 1st floor, okay, level 1, in an S room, how many people? 2 people. And on the 2nd floor, in an S-type room, there is 1 person. 1S2, 2S2. This is the address for the 3 people staying in the hotel. You notice when I add the exponents, 2 plus 1 equals 3, and that's the number of people in my party, 3 of us. So I've accounted for where all 3 people are going to be sleeping that night according to the way this hotel works. Okay, we'll do a couple more and you'll see what I'm saying. I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to check in this time, and this time there's going to be 7 people checking in. Now, I'm not going to erase what I already have here because the 7 people, we're going to assume this is empty, and I have to accommodate 7 people. So the first 2 are going to have to stay in the lowest room first, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4 will stay right here. So the 4 people have stayed right here. What do we do with the next 3 people? Well, they're going to stay in the P suite. And that is pretty sweet, because if 3 people have to share this nice big suite of 3 bedrooms, what's the most comfortable way to stay? Should they all jump, should 2 would stay in one room and 1 stay alone? No way. They want to have the most comfortable space possible. So each person, the 3 that remain, are going to get their own bedrooms. I want to be one of those people. So this shows us the 3rd rule of the hotel, which says in a suite, in other words, a P, a D, or an F type room, 1 person in each room for doubling up. So in other words, you actually stay alone first and then you have to share. So in a D room with 5 bedrooms, 5 people can stay all alone first before they have to start sharing rooms with the additional people that might be in their party. So for this one, what would the address system be? Well, you have to account for all 7 people. So we start at the bottom, and this is it. On level 1, in an S-type room, there are 2 people. Level 2, in an S-type room, there are 2 people. And on level 2, you notice I'm saying level and room number first every single time. Level, room number, people. Level, room number, people. So over here, level 2, what kind of room? P. And how many people in there? 3. Notice if you add all these up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we have accounted for where those 7 people are. So that, I guess you could say, is like the address system of where these 7 people are staying. This is where we're going to stop our discussion. That's all the notes you have to take for today. When you come in our next class, we'll do a little bit of coloring. We'll talk about the periodic table, like this one, and how it relates to this hotel, and how you can figure out where the electrons are in an atom based on location of the element on the periodic table. So be ready, bring the notes with you so that you can work in our next class.